What's up, guys? You'll never guess who I've got on my channel today. Somebody who actually quit college because they had a baby and then they were selling cars and they realized it's a lot easier and you can make a lot more money offering people on their distressed homes and becoming a real estate investor full time. And I talked to him for the first time 4 years ago when he used this app I created for finding distressed properties, and he had made $15,000 over doing 3 deals, finding those rundown deals, not using his own cash or credit to buy them, but actually bringing them to an investor and making a profit for finding that deal. And so we've got Sawan Belcher. I'm so happy to share his story so that you guys, wherever you're at, can picture doing the same thing for your life. So we're here in, where are we at? We're in Greensboro, North Carolina, right? I had to think about that because I've been to a few cities here.
Yeah.
And we're connecting in person now after this interview from 4 years ago that I just pulled up.
Right.
4 years ago, and you actually made $15,000 finding a real estate deal. And you didn't even you weren't buying it with your own money, right? You were actually finding it and then selling it and getting an
assignment fee.
Yeah, an assignment fee. So can you tell me about that? Just a recap of this video we did 4 years ago?
Yeah, so that was actually 3 different deals that I had done. Okay. So essentially, I was doing, before I had got the app, I was just doing what everybody has suggested. Driving, looking for property, entering it in on the tax department list, and then skip tracing their phone number using some free sites like True People Search and even like the Yellow Pages. But then I forgot how I found the app, but when I found it, it was like a click. You know, it was like, find your location, click, phone number, and I was like, oh, now I can do so many more.
Yeah, and by the app, you mean DealMachine.
DealMachine, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
Which was an app I created out of my own need, doing the same thing, right? I was like looking for rundown houses. This was in 2016 for me. And that was the advice I received was, hey, I couldn't find any rental properties that would cash flow.
Right.
I went to the real estate meetup in my city and they were like, go look for rundown houses.
Yeah.
And so that's what I started doing. But I missed out on what I thought would have been an amazing first real estate deal for me because I had written it down, but I didn't follow up.
Yeah.
And like a month later, I saw somebody else working on it. Then I looked it up. Then I saw somebody else bought it for a price that would have been an amazing deal for me.
Right.
And I was just like, had this like pit in my stomach and I knew I needed to take action and do something about it. So
I think that's a challenge for people starting too. Is like keeping up with their leads. And that's kind of something that DealMachine solved for me because I was still working at the car dealership at the time. So so it was just part-time. I didn't really necessarily have a system, but I had a software that was helping me keep track of it. So like every day I would, on my lunch break, I would jump in one of the dealership cars, you know, and I would drive on my lunch break in one of the dealership cars and enter in as many addresses as I could. And when I got back, the app was just efficient. So I could text message and I could text message everyone during my lunch. I mean, so like 50 to 100 houses, you know, every day. And that just became easy. Now, the first deal I got from DealMachine was one of the neighbors in my community that I lived in. And right at the top of the hill, I forget his name, I think it was Dennis. And he had actually inherited the house from his mom. And I was never able to get a hold of him before the app, but because I was able to get his phone number, finally I got a hold of him. We met at the house and ended up getting the house under contract for $40,000, which I thought was high at the time, and I made $5,000 off of that one. The second one, what was the second one from DealMachine? They were all low, and I think you was telling me, hey, Sawan, you should be making more per deal, based off of, I was pulling DealMachine and I was doing probate, and then that's when I started offering lower after our conversation.
Got it.
And so instantly I went from doing like $3,000 to $5,000 on a deal, but because you told me on that call that I should be making more, I started offering lower. And I started making like $7,000 or $8,000.
No way.
Yeah, and literally that's what I told myself.
I'm glad you got a lot out of that call.
I did.
At the DMV, which is where you were.
That was the one thing I got out of that call, but that's what I needed though.
Like,
because at the car dealership, I told myself once I make $8,000 on one deal, I would feel comfortable with leaving the dealership, right?
Yeah.
So you just happened to tell me I could make more. So I end up making $8,000 on one deal. and I ended up quitting the dealership. So,
wow, that makes me feel really good. Because we were doing the call to share your story. The fact that you got something out of it makes me feel amazing.
Yeah, honestly, we all have something to give each other. You know what I mean? Like the Bible always talks about when two people get together. You know, so no matter what you got going on or what I got going on, there's going to be something, even today, that you leave with. It's going to give you something. I was grateful for that call because of that.
So now you were telling me a little bit more about your story than I knew just before we started recording this. You said you actually had left college because you had a baby.
Yep.
Okay, and then you were working at a dealership as well.
Yep, all selling cars.
All right, so how far after quitting college was this call that we did, you know, when you did the 15 grand from those 3 deals?
Yes, okay, so college was 2013, and that's when I started selling cars. And 2016 is when I bought my personal house. And so that's when I started really going in with off-market property. 15, I bought my first one, but 16, that's when I bought my first house that was off-market. And then we had the call in 17. So yeah, that's literally, I just took all of my sales skills from the car dealership and just put it into real estate investing. Yeah. Because once you learn how to talk to people, it's all the same. You know, it's all the same.
Right. You're trying to buy their house, but it's still the same principles as what you're saying, right?
For sure. Yeah. See, like, honestly, buying houses as far as sales is easier than selling somebody a car. Because the first thing you do when people, you know, like you're calling somebody at the dealership. We did a bunch of cold calls at the dealership.
Calling.
Yeah, you're trying to get them to spend money, right? And so the first thing I would do in my real estate business, instead of, you know, saying that I want people to buy something, it's like, hey, no, don't hang up. I'm trying to give you money. Like, why would you hang up when I'm trying to give you my money? Yeah. You know, and instantly people, like, they would raise their ear up, you know? And so, I mean, honestly, once you learn how to keep
once you
had
done that job selling cars, real estate investing was a lot easier. Oh, yeah. And you could probably make more money doing that too.
Oh, for sure. Like I said, that one transaction, when I made $8 grand in one transaction, it's like, oh, well, that's it. You know, I can, I just need more time, you know, to be able to make more deals. And I'm gonna have to put this on.
I'm gonna throw mine on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put this on silent. Yeah, because it's gonna start. It's gonna start right there with that one phone call.
There we go.
Yeah. Yesterday was insane.
That's good.
No, actually, my phone is crazy. So actually, we just opened our office back up. So between 17.
And is this your office that we're in now?
Yep, this is our office now.
Cool.
So between 17 and 20, I had another office on a third floor building in Greensboro. And I mean, literally, when I quit, I mean, I went hard. I was like hiring people, bringing them into my personal house, training them there. And at that time, it probably took me a few months. I had like 3 acquisition guys working for me, 2 virtual assistants. And when I had so many people come into the house, I was like, I got to get an office, you know. Went and got an office. Talk about the best thing, like ever. You know, having an office is for work. You know what I mean? So personal wise, I know you don't have any kids, but personal wise, when you're at home, it's home. You know, you're comfortable, you clean up, you cook, you know what I mean? You're distracted. But when we created that office, even for the guys that worked for me, they were there to work. And we was able to create like a culture behind working. Like we got a deal, let's get another one. And then the hat trick became the thing at the office. You know,
what's the hat trick?
A hat, bro. Come on, you got to set the culture. So if you get 3 deals in one day, you get a $500 bonus for a hat trick. And so 3 deals in one day is a hat trick.
Yeah, just like soccer.
Bonus. Yep, right? Exactly.
Is that where it comes from?
And I don't know. We talked about it in the car dealership. I'm telling you, all of this comes from the car dealership. So at the car dealership, the hat trick was the holy grail. If you could get 3 deals in one day, instantly your boss or your general manager would have to go to the bank, bring you $500 in ones. Okay.
In ones.
In ones. It gets people excited. Yeah. So what we do is great. You got your hat trick. Go to the bank, get your ones, and then you know, we'd come back and we make it rain on you. Like we play some music, we ring the bell, you know, we make it rain on you, and it was like a.
I want that.
Right, yeah. like everybody does, you know, everybody does, and like from that point on, I mean, yeah, that was Yeah, that was wild. Yeah, that was wild. We had an amazing time making a lot of money.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, killing it with DealMachine. Yeah, killing it. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Heck yeah, man.
4 years later.
And that's what's up.
Still going strong.
And now over that time, since we did use DealMachine a bunch, we kind of seen the app grow a bunch as well. Now, there's probably some new things that I'm not even using in my business, and selfishly out of this conversation, I wanted to ask, like, what are some of the new things that not just myself, but also other people who are just getting to know the app, what all can they do? Because the CRM tool is great, but like I said, I still use it like from 2017. So what are some tools like inside of the app that people can maximize on?
Sure, yeah. So we talked about, as a real estate investor, you can find really great deals looking for rundown properties. A lot of times you're out there looking for those properties, but if you're just writing them down, you might struggle with follow-up. So obviously that's what you've been using, and that is how DealMachine started. But we do a few other things too. So one of the things you said is you do probates.
Yeah.
So you can also download lists like probates within DealMachine. That part of the app we call List Builder. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Nice.
We tie it into the MLS data feed. So you can also see and pull a list of all these properties that might have an assumable loan. So when there's like high interest rates, like you could filter that on there, or you could also combine that with senior owner. So you got senior owner with an assumable loan. All right, maybe that's interesting. You can also look at like expired listings that didn't sell with a realtor but have over 35% equity.
Nice.
And of course the standard absentee owner list, or any properties that have tax liens. These are all different types of properties that you can all get within DealMachine. What's amazing about DealMachine is it is a mobile app rather than a desktop with like an app companion. So you can do everything that I just mentioned like within the mobile app. And so that's really powerful for you if you don't have a computer right here, which we don't oftentimes. And so I think that's like a big key. We've reduced we've increased the reliability a lot in the last year especially. Yeah. As our team has matured, so I'm very happy that there's like less bugs, because every app is,
for sure,
you're gonna encounter a bug every once in a while, and that's something we've gotten a lot better at.
Especially when you're helping a lot of people, because you guys are growing pretty fast.
Yeah,
you guys were growing pretty fast. Like I said, I know we were really testing some of the limits of how we could use it ourselves. So I already know you guys was experiencing that. And honestly, with a business like yours, I don't think you really know how to help them until you have the customer. You know what I mean? Like the customer will determine how you grow. Right. So I really like I just started seeing, it's funny that you started saying the assumable. I just started paying attention to that because most of the time we have other people who enter properties for us at this point. But I just started seeing assumable, I just started seeing like, okay, he's classifying absentee now, and which is cool because you really don't have a lot of information when you're just driving. Well, first of all, can you help us like classify just a little bit, like some of the categories that you have, like assumable and absentee? Like, why is that important for people to know who these people are?
Yeah. So a lot of times, people say one of the best lists, aside from driving for dollars, is the tired landlord list. Yeah. And so landlord is the same thing as absentee owner most of the time. Right. It means that person doesn't live there. They may have owned the property for a while. And so that's what you're identifying when you see absentee owner, is that it's probably a rental property. Yeah. Unless it's vacant, especially if it looks run down and it's an absentee owner, that's somebody that you definitely want to hit up. Although I will say most of my deals that were run down were done by owner occupied. So don't sleep on those. Amen. A lot of people hear the advice of absentee owner, and so they're curious about that, and that's why we show it. But if it's run down, I would definitely add it and reach out to them either way.
Yeah, I think we found that too. Owner-occupied deals are way better, way easier. Because I mean, honestly, if an investor can afford to keep a property vacant, board it up, and leave it sitting there for 5 years, I mean, he might have some kind of strategy behind it. Yeah, he really might. He really might. I started asking people that too. Like, I was like, help me understand. Like, I want to be the investor like you. That's what I started. That's what I used to say to him. I still do. Like, what is your strategy? Because right now I can only afford.
What do they say?
I can only afford to keep houses that I have tenants in who pay my mortgage. But you're able to keep a house vacant for 5 years and keep it, boarded up and pay taxes and insurance. Like, what is your strategy?
What is it?
And well, the thing is, after you break it down like that, they say, well, I don't have a strategy. You shouldn't do it like that.
Yeah.
And then so that would get them to say that they should sell it.
Okay, now they're open to selling it.
Yeah. And so when I would start saying, that's just a part of sales. So when they would say that to me, it's like, well, man, why are you doing this? Like, if you know that it's costing you money, if you know that it's not a smart investor decision to do this, like when I call you and I ask you to buy it, why not just come up with a price, or why not just come with terms, and then that would get them thinking like, well, I guess I should, and honestly, like I said, the sales part of this, I think that's what a lot of people are missing, especially the new people, because I direct a lot of people to use the app, but the first thing they say was they didn't answer or they don't want to sell. It's like, well, you either didn't say the right thing or you didn't put in enough. Which brings me to my next question I wanted to ask you. Like on average, how many like leads or opportunities are people putting into the app?
So if you want to get a deal, we've done a lot of interviews, as we did with you whenever we, you were like the first of like 1,000, testimonials and success stories we've probably interviewed. But what I found out is in a Midwest market or a market where like the average home in perfect condition might be worth like $200,000, which kind of seems like what this might be.
For sure.
Ish. You've got to add at least 300 properties and contact them at least 6 times. And so all in, what is that? It's like 1,000 pieces of contact, right? Whether that's direct mail or text messaging or cold calling.
Right.
And so that's what we want people to know going in. That way, if they don't quit too early.
Yep.
I think the biggest mistake people make is they'll do 100 and then they'll be like tapped out because they're discouraged that they didn't get a deal yet. And so then they stop. But then they waste the money that they spent to get where they're at already. And if only they would go just a little bit further, they'd finally hit the jackpot and get a deal.
For sure.
Which is what they really need, is what I need. It's what anyone needs to keep going.
Right. Right.
Is to know that you can do it and repeat it.
Yeah, I tell the guys, like, when you get DealMachine, put 3,000 in. Like, get 3,000. Like, because then we actually have people to talk to. And then when you get 3,000, call them, text them, and send them direct mail. You get the email address, send them an email. Like, don't just call one. DealMachine typically gives you 2, 3, 4, 5 different numbers. Call them all. And so it's amazing how it's actually amazing how much information you guys give now. Because I've noticed. I've noticed like DNC and all that good stuff.
Right. Yeah. So you actually do get a lot of info when we do give you 5 numbers. Sometimes it would be time consuming to call all 5. And so we wanted to give you an idea about which number would probably be the best one to call first.
Right.
And so we bought some extra data that it's like a separate data source and where the number's coming from in the first place. So it verifies it is connected. And so it does give you the caller ID. And then that's matched with the county record. So if the caller ID matches the county record, it's going to bump that up top. It's where you should call first.
Nice.
And then we also prioritize the mobile versus landlines. But I think the caller ID combined with if it's connected or not can save you a lot of time. For sure. Prioritizing what to call first.
For sure. I like the caller ID.
I'm glad that you like that because I put that in there because I wanted that.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to call through all 5. I want to know which one's the best one first.
I love it. See, and that's another thing I like about you, honestly. I think I told you this before on the phone. Like, I like that you actually do the business. Like, you've done deals before. Because it's hard for people, who have software. If they haven't done the business, they don't really know, the struggle. They don't really know, what we face. Yeah. And so I really like that. Could you break down, no problem. Yeah, I like giving you kudos. I'll break down like a deal that you've done, like a real estate deal that you've done. Okay. And then where it was.
Yeah, so all of my deals have been in Indianapolis.
Nice.
And the deal that changed my life was house hacking. And I was nervous about offering on a wholesale property. And I was like, why don't I just do this thing where I can put low money down, get a house with 5 bedrooms and rent out all the bedrooms.
Nice.
And so it reduced my living expenses to $0. The house was $194,000 when I bought it back in 2017.
Nice.
Today it's worth $350. So it's like had massive appreciation.
Oh yeah.
And now it rents for $2,800. But so I did the house hack, and that was like a beautiful disaster because I didn't have any lease agreements with the people in it. They were just friends from work.
Yeah.
And then when somebody's boyfriend wanted to move in, you know, then there was like 6 people in the house, you know, and it's like 6 people sharing one fridge is pretty tough.
Yeah.
But I mean, it allowed me to quit my job and focus on DealMachine.
Right.
That first deal did. And then
that's a blessing.
I had a recent issue though, because now I live in Austin, Texas, so I've been away from the rental properties for a while. I have 9 now. Nice. And then this one wouldn't rent. So I was like, shoot, do I have to sell it? I was like, wow, it's worth a lot more.
Yeah.
You know? But then I just raised the rent price like a lot, and then somebody rented it out. It was weird because the prices of rent had gone up so much in that area, they weren't taking my house seriously at the low previous rent price.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't even showing up in their filters.
Yeah.
You know, if they're filtering what their budget is, they weren't filtering low enough. So I think previously what I had it at was like $1,900.
And you raised it to?
Because that meant the 1% rule, because I bought it for $190,000.
Yeah.
And then, since it appreciated so much, nobody was renting it. So I raised it to I raised it like $1,000. And then that's when somebody snapped it up.
That's amazing.
I know, right?
That's what's up. I love it. I love it. And honestly, that right there, you can't teach.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that nobody's going to teach you in the school. You have to be doing the business for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I like. And that's what I like about you with the app, because you're actually doing the business. And I'm like, that's a lot. Like that's a lot. Because I've used a lot of other different programs, you know, like software to help with the company. And when I express and give my feedback, say, hey, this is an issue, they completely don't understand, you know, or completely are not perceptive to it. But with your team, like I was telling you, the Opportunity Zone campaign that we run, you know, when we uploaded so many records, it was, you know, your team was just like, no problem, we got it. Give me a day, you know? And like I said, the best campaign we've ran.
Yeah, and I thought what you said to that campaign was genius.
Yeah.
Can you say that again?
Okay, so essentially, I like DealMachine because we can customize our list. Okay, it's not absentee, it's not probate, you know, it's not anything anybody else can create. And so what gave me the idea one day is the city was sending out flyers, and it was the first flyer was a flood zone. They said, hey, these areas are flood zones, okay? And so I was like, well, great, we should just create a flood zone list, you know? And so we used DealMachine, boom, 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 boom. And then the next thing that came out, I think it was like the fire department had sent out a list of all of the fire damaged houses from the year. So we created the fire damage list. But the best one that we had was when Mr. Trump came into presidency, he created the Opportunity Zones. Now, I liked Opportunity Zones because we're a wholesaling company. So this was my time to educate my buyers on why they should be buying, you know, because not a lot of people like buying in the hood at this time, you know. So I use it as a chance to educate my buyers, but also create partners. Okay, so got the Opportunity Zone map, okay. Got DealMachine. At this time, I think you guys had just changed your domain name from DealMachine app to DealMachine.
Yeah, we did.
Real user here. And so I hired 2 people. One person in Greensboro to do Guilford County. One person in Forsyth County. One in Winston-Salem. And all they were responsible for doing was making sure that every house in the Opportunity Zone map was in our DealMachine app. Got it. Okay. And
so how many houses was that? Do you know?
A lot. Like I said, we hit like, you know, 20,000 in like a week.
Wow.
So yeah, and so that was like that was just from Guilford County, you know. So I want to say we ended up putting in like 60,000 from that particular list.
Love it.
And so what we did was every Friday we would Sarah, my virtual assistant, would take that list out and she'd put it in our RVM machine. Now, 60,000 is a lot.
An RVM is reverse voicemail, ringless voicemail.
Ringless voicemail.
So you can record a message and that shows up in their voicemail.
Exactly. Because to hit 60,000 people, I mean, that would take a lot of manual dialing, you know. And so we needed to be able to hit all of them quick, you know. So, and at this time, I had done enough testing where I realized that my voice doesn't get the best responses.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
My mom's voice would get better responses.
Yeah.
My wife's voice would get better responses.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard that.
And now
just female voices
just
in general,
female,
right?
But the caveat is, I never had anybody white, okay, do a voicemail for me. And I had a hunch. I don't know, it was like God winking at me or something. I was like, yo, I should get Rachel from the dealership to do this for me. Rachel's super cute.
From the car dealership?
Yeah, from the car dealership. And I'm not at the car dealership anymore. I had just thought of her.
Did she do it as a favor or did you pay her? How did this work?
Yeah, I paid her $250.
Nice.
And so she created 3 different voicemails for me. And I wanted it to sound like the list that we had created, which was the law. You know, Trump had just made this big, announcement. This is the new law. This is how it's going to help people. And so I wanted to reflect like it came from the government. And so when I wrote the script, I'm pretty sure this is exactly the way it is. Everybody in my course has the exact one. But it says the government has deemed your property in a low income area. Okay. For this reason, they're incentivizing investors to buy houses in these areas. If you would like to talk to one of those investors, we had it on the IVR, so you could press 1 to talk to one of those investors.
An IVR stands for a menu that you can press buttons and have it direct you somewhere.
Exactly. So it will go straight to our call center.
Yeah.
It goes straight to our virtual assistant who's on the phone for us.
Yeah.
And we also did some voicemails, and which would drop the phone number, and so it would leave our phone number for them to call us back. But literally the best campaign ever. Because instead of people calling back to say, you're a scam, they're like, yo, what's this new law? Or hey, who are these investors? It created like curiosity, but more so because of the female voice, we got so many more callbacks, and they were asking for Rachel. They were asking for Rachel. And I was like, well, Rachel's off today.
Yeah.
Learned her from the car dealership. And, but literally that's the best campaign ever. Best campaign ever. I wouldn't, I still use it exactly the way it is. And people ask me, now that they've gotten the voicemail several times, people still ask me, like, why are you still sending out the voicemail? It's a 10-year law. You can buy houses in these areas for 10 years and still get the tax benefits. And so I'm running it for the next 10 years. But literally the best campaign I've ever run. And
that's awesome.
And that's because of, I don't know of any other a website or software that I could create my own custom list like that. So it works. Yeah.
One other new thing I just thought of that I didn't mention is you can run comps, so you know how much you can value a property and figure out how much you can offer on the property. And that's all in the mobile app as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a new thing. And when I run comps, I really like to I need to look at the photos, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm pulling up these past sales, I need to know, okay, was this a rundown house or was this like a perfect house?
Yeah.
So I can scroll through, see the MLS photos they used when they listed, and then I can either add or remove houses from this calculation. It shows me what the estimated value is that way.
That's super
so that was
cool.
a new thing on the mobile app as well.
Yeah, that's super cool because MLS data, just period, is like the most valuable real estate data that we have.
But not all deals come through on the MLS. So if it's a cash deal and it's coming through off market, it's not going to show up on the MLS. So you can filter county records too when you're doing the comps.
Nice.
So you can say include county or don't. And vice versa. So you could see what the cash deals are doing.
Yeah.
You could see what the MLS market deals are doing.
I like that. Now, quick question, just like personal question, okay?
I like it. Yeah.
You're working a job, like before you create this app, you're working a job. Where are you working at?
So first I worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And then I worked at a nursing home in the kitchen, basically just putting food on trays.
What in the world gives you the idea to say, I'm gonna create this app?
Then I did this internship at AT&T.
Yeah.
And I realized they have internal tools that help their sales team do what they need to do. And then I was a volunteer after I graduated for my fraternity. And we had like an advisor position that was gonna help the recruitment efforts. And so I was like, there's not a tool here, but there was in a professional setting. And so I made this tool that was basically like a CRM for recruitment for fraternities. It's called Chapter Builder.
Nice.
So I made that as like a kind of like a side project. And then after working on that for like 2 years, I sold it for $10,000, like nothing, right?
Nice.
After all that work. But I worked for the guy I sold it to.
Yeah.
And then he really sold it to these fraternity headquarters. He had all those relationships. His business was to help fraternities grow.
Yeah.
So this might blow your mind, but every fraternity has like an adult with a position of executive director in a national headquarters. That way, their mission is to grow the organization.
Right.
But they have no idea what was going on the ground. And so we kind of took that tool, Chapter Builder, I made, and they would buy it for their chapters for $500 a year per chapter, give it to all their chapters. Then they could see, oh yeah, these guys are recruiting, these guys are talking to new students. I know that we're gonna hit our growth goals or not. And so that's where I learned a ton,
Right.
you know, selling it for basically nothing, taking a pay cut from my job at Accenture, which was like a consulting firm for, you know, we were doing actually software development for the post office, go figure.
Yeah.
So anyway, I took a
Nice.
pay cut to go work for this guy that I sold my side project to for $10,000. And so I worked, and that brought me to Indianapolis because most of the fraternity and sorority headquarters are in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Nice.
And so that's what brought me there. And then
Interesting.
he had rental properties. So after a few years, I was like, why do you have rentals instead of stocks? And he's like, well, the stocks can go up and down, but if you manage the rentals correctly, they'll always cash flow. And then if the appreciation comes in, which it typically does, then that's just icing on the cake. And so I was like, ooh, I like how I'm in more control that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nice. That's what's up. Like,
Yeah.
but what made you take the leap though? Because I would imagine it's a pretty, you know, it takes a lot of faith financially, you know, and like confidence wise to say,
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna go into this whole different thing.
Okay. Well,
And-
basically,
yeah.
no, you're right.
Like because even for me leaving the car dealership to go, you know, buy and sell houses. When
Yeah.
I went to go sell cars, my father-in-law said, "Yo, that's a hard business. You're not going to be successful."
Yeah.
Now, after I made $100 grand selling cars in a year, you know, I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna go buy and sell houses." Yo, bro, that's not gonna work. You know, but I still had the faith to go out and do it. And so I'm thinking, this is an even bigger task. You know, to and so I'm like, I really want to know like how.
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately I was skeptical but excited.
Yeah.
But then I really listened to so many books, podcasts. I went to real estate meetups. I was like, I've heard enough people be really successful at this. Like, I have to just do it.
Yeah.
And so I finally reached that point where instead of having analysis paralysis, I was like, I don't even care because I'm wasting so much time doing nothing that I'm just gonna go take this plunge. And I probably quit my job sooner than I should have, right? Because
We all
I
do.
finally was just like, I gotta do it.
Right.
Yeah, but one thing that helped though was I did buy that house with like $4,000 because I had like a low money down loan.
Yeah.
And I had a job at the time, so that helped me get the loan. They didn't know I was gonna quit my job right after I bought the house, but I knew I was gonna rent out the bedrooms.
Yeah.
You know, and if the mortgage and everything was $1,300, I knew that I was gonna be making $1,500 to $2,000 from the rented bedrooms.
For sure.
So I really wouldn't have too many living expenses.
Right.
And so when I quit, they were like, no, we need you. Can we pay you 4 times as much for like staying 3 more months? So that was awesome too, because I got a lot more money to stay and help them transition, which was amazing. So that helped. It was a long process though.
Yeah.
In terms of the house, well, now that I didn't have a job, you know, it was just like, well, I can't go buy another house right away. What I ended up doing was finding a friend that had money and a job. And so I would find the deal.
Amen.
It would be such a good deal.
Yep.
He would provide 100% of the money.
Right.
He'd put the mortgage in his name, but he'd still give me title
Right.
with him.
Nice.
So I got 50% of a cash flowing rental property and I had to put no money down. So I did that a few times when I was finding deals without a job.
Nice.
You know, because I couldn't get the mortgage. So
Nice.
that was really, really nice. And
Just
then,
so you know, that inspired me because I
Really?
remember. I remember when you were showing that, in the beginning. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, to be honest, I don't. You know, like I said, you don't know how like influential your app and yourself has been for me. Like through the, you know, I didn't pay for like a big mentorship or anything. But when I found your app, I was using it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we did that call, I was listening.
Yeah.
You know, and then after the fact, it's just implementing.
Yeah.
So I just love what you did. You know, because I didn't even know that you that you had a job before 2017. I didn't know if that was the start or if I was coming in the middle. And so I'm glad you're giving me a confirmation it was a start.
Yeah.
But I think it's dope what you got going on.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. For the future, okay, for the app, okay. Where do you see it going? Okay, like what's your goals? What's your goals for it?
Man, we want to give everybody the power of real estate investing. There's so many people that don't even know about real estate investing. So I'm on a mission to just expand who's even interested in real estate investing. I actually started posting on my own social media, and a ton of my friends that haven't, maybe we haven't been in contact for a while, just started DMing me and asking me questions about like, well, they want to buy a rental property. They may have a job, they may want to keep their job, but they want to start investing in real estate.
Yeah.
Because as long as you get halfway decent properties,
for sure,
you're going to be a millionaire.
For sure.
As long as you get halfway decent properties,
yeah,
the appreciation just going to keep coming.
Oh yeah.
In the long run, right? It doubles every 15 years. It has for the last 70 years.
And that's literally the mindset. I remember one day, I woke up at like 2 a.m. in the morning. I couldn't go back to sleep. I go to my living room and I'm like, I take out my journal. I got like these little leather journals and I'm like going through my properties and I'm like, shoot, I'm a millionaire. Dude. And it hit me that day and I got so excited. That lit me on fire. I got so excited. I was like, babe, we're millionaires. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the thing is, it's not even, real estate can get you there, but it's more of a mindset. Mm-hmm. It's more of a mindset. And that was amazing because it was maybe 12 houses. It was maybe 12 houses in my journal at that point, and now we have 60. So, but it was maybe 12 houses.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I want to get there.
Yeah,
I'm focused on buying more houses.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go. Because I think right now is a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of opportunity brewing up. Like the leads that are coming in compared to the last 2 years, they're different. Mm-hmm. They're having different conversations.
How so?
Like 17, 18, people were like, hey man, I know I can't get this amount for my house. I just want to sell for what I want to owe. Okay, 2020, 2021, 2022, people, I can get more than that. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna take this lowball offer. Mm-hmm. Stop wasting my time. This year, between the last quarter of 2022 and this month, people are going back to, hey, I just need help getting out of this. What they're saying in the lead forms is completely different than the last 2 years. And so whenever people actually feel like they need help, when they don't feel all macho because the economy is going to give them everything they want and more, mm-hmm. We can be more creative. So now it's back to subject to deals. It's back to seller carry. It's back to, hey, I'm the investor. I'm the smart guy. I got you, Mr. Seller. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And and they're like, thank you. Versus just whatever. Versus just whatever. And so this is just a really good time. It's like, forgive me, I talk like an old man, but before the last quarter, I sent out an email to all of my investors, and I said, yo, we're not going to be doing the burr like that. The 6-month notes, the 12-month notes, great job, you guys killed it, awesome. But we're going to be doing a lot of creative stuff in the next 2 years, So, and I just sent out an email explaining how our investors we're going to change, because we're going to be buying more subject to and more seller financing deals. So expect to get more monthly guarantee.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a compounded interest in 6 months.
Yeah. Now, I'm really curious about this. Not saying that this is your situation, but oftentimes when I hear people say they have a private lender, I'll ask them a few questions and find out, it was their dad,
Yeah.
And my dad is not somebody that's going to be, lending me money,
right.
Especially that kind of money.
Right.
And I'm curious, since you have an email list of investors, I'm guessing it's also not your dad who provided the money either, right? So, like, how did you find your first private money investor?
Let's do it. Okay, so first one was actually from college. His name was Kyle Bailey. Okay. And so now the beautiful part about wholesaling is it's all about marketing. Okay. Now when you do it full time, you realize you're marketing to multiple people. You're not just marketing to sellers. You're marketing to buyers. You're marketing to tenant buyers. Okay. Now, but when you get into marketing a lot and you're testing a lot, you realize that inside of each of those pools are different people. Like a cash buyer is not just a cash buyer. He's a private lender, okay? He's a partner. You know what I'm saying? And so when we set up the way we start to sell our homes, we would sell it like Zillow. We sell it like an auction. So instead of just talking to people and qualifying buyers, we say, yo, go to Triad Discount Homes. That's where we sell our deals at, you know? And when people, when they go to the page, they can't see any of the properties. So they have to put in their information. They put in their name, they put in their number, the email address, see the deals. They don't really see the deals after that. It goes to another form that asks them more questions. Where do you like to do deals at? What did your last deal look like? Also, would you consider lending, yes or no? Now, when we did that, when we put that little question in there, we was already getting a flood of traffic because we post our deals on Craigslist and all these other places, but we just funnel them back to the website. So every day we're getting like 10 or 15 buyers coming into the website and everybody's checking yes or no, okay? Now, of course, if you're getting 10 or 15 buyers and everybody's checking yes or no, you're gonna create your own list of private money guys. So I started catering to these guys. When I realized, yo, shoot, we got like a list of 500 people that say that they'll consider lending.
Yeah.
Let me start catering some more marketing to this 500 people.
So then when you got a deal that you wanted to...
Instead of putting it on Triad Discount Homes, I would come up with my terms and then I would send it out to the guys first.
How'd you come up with your terms?
Okay. This is just a part of being creative and being a good business person.
Okay.
Okay. So, and that's it. And now I only would send out deals that would wow people at first. Like
for lending.
Yeah, for lending.
So that they knew that it was going to be a secure investment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it was a wow factor. Okay, so one deal I sent out, I had got a $300,000 house under contract for $5,000. Okay. And so when I sent it out, all I was asking for was $45,000. Okay. And I wanted to partner. So they would own 50%, I would own 50%. Okay. Super cool. So
so they were lending and partnering, or they were bringing the money to be your partner?
Exactly. So I don't put them in categories. I call all of my private money guys private money, and then over time we decide if we're going to partner 50-50 or if you're, because partnering, you don't have a guarantee. Your guarantee is your equity, but that's not really, that's not really a guarantee. You just own it. But debt, you get a guarantee. You say, hey, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars. I'm going to receive X amount of payments monthly, or I'm going to get it back in 12 months. Okay. Some people like that. People with lesser money like the guarantee. They like the debt. People with real money want the equity. Yeah. And that's what I found. And so I just got creative, and that was my pitch to people. If you want equity, understand there's no guarantee. Okay, you get equity. So you might get a monthly, you might not. It just depends on if we make money or not. Yeah. But when we sell a refinance,
so that's like my partner, right? Where he brought the cash and he got the 50% of the deal, and I got the other half, but provided no cash. Yep. That's kind of the same thing that you did.
Yep. Got exactly. And but when I sent out these when I created that funnel for the buyers and put the yes or no in there. And then I started catering marketing directly to those guys. And I started sending my deals to them first before I would put it on Triad Discount Homes to wholesale it. That's when the magic happened for private. Because private money to me is private. To this day, I've never done a hard money loan or anything like that. Guys give me money out of their 401k for long-term notes. And that's what I tell them. Like, if you have money in a retirement account.
How long? 30 years?
30 years, yeah. 30 years, 15 years, 20
What
years.
kind of interest?
18 to whatever's negotiable.
Okay. 18?
No, excuse me, 8 to 14.
Okay.
Okay, 8 to 14. Now, I've gotten really good at this. But so 401k money are long-term notes. Brother, you're 40, 65, that's 25 years. You wasn't gonna use the money anyway, 25-year note. Right. Yeah. Guys that are actually lending their own cash, 6 to 12 months, I'm using that for flips, and I'm paying 8 to 12 for flips.
And so how do you pay them every month now that you've done a few of these deals?
Well, the safest investment for an investor to make with me is first position with no payments, okay? At the end of the day, if I have to do a flip, okay, and you know that you're bringing 100% of the funds as the investor, that means that I don't have any expenses. So I have no excuses not to get that deal done so I can get you your money back plus your interest. And so when I'm raising money, I do 6 to 12 months, no payment notes. All the interest is compounded at the end.
Yeah, but for the long ones, like the rental properties.
For the rental properties, I'm typically paying 8 to 12%. Okay, and it's just amortized over 15 to 30 years, depending on the cash flow.
So how do you get the money in their 401k every month? You know, for the mortgage payment.
I use American Equity Trust, and they essentially move their money from a 401k over to American Equity Trust into a self-directed IRA. And then they manage the note. So we just set up an automatic payment.
So you give them the note paper and then they handle the actual like money transfers and stuff.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So American Equity Trust handles that for me with anybody. So
got it.
Anytime I have an investor that says they have money in 401k, I just make an email with Maurice, and then he gets them set up. Once they're set up, Brian Elam does the promissory note deed of trust, and after the day of closing, we go ahead and set up our online account, and so we can set up direct deposit.
Okay, got it. So if I'm going to take down a rental property, am I going to give the seller a cash offer, even though the cash is actually going to be from this private money guy, and then they're going to actually be doing it through a note? Do I still make it as a cash offer?
Yep. I still let them know it's cash because from a seller's perspective, cash is important because it's their perspective behind it, not because of either way they're still going to get the same money, whether I'm bringing a loan or whether I'm bringing my own cash.
And you can put that all together in still like 2 weeks? Or do you do 3 weeks?
Like 3 days. You know? I mean, most of the time, Brian Elam likes 14 days, like a full 2 weeks. But if we have to, because it benefits the seller, and of course it benefits us more because we're able to get, since we can close quicker, we need a better price. Then we can close quicker.
Got it.
But it works out. Private money is this is what I tell my students, yo. If there's somebody out there that needs money so desperately that their stomach hurts because they haven't ate yesterday, there has to be somebody out there that has so much money that wants to give it away, And so when you can find that person and then give them an opportunity to not give it away, to just shelter it from their taxes and then provide a cushion or collateral, which real estate, you're winning. You're winning. And so that's our model. So since 2020, when I shut down that office, because all of our employees was in and out because of the COVID and whatnot, I went from wholesaling, 80% to buying everything. So since we wasn't doing 10 or 15 deals a month, we're doing like 4 or 5. We buy everything now. Everything that we get on the board, we buy first. Okay. And that's all because of our private money guys.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations on putting that together too. It's seriously awesome.
Thank you. In DealMachine, this is a tip for everybody. In DealMachine, this is what I did. Okay, so you can see when people purchase property inside of DealMachine, and so sometimes you're entering abandoned houses or ugly houses, and you realize it was just purchased. And those people are cash buyers. They just purchased a beat up property. So inside of DealMachine, not just having postcards to sellers, create postcards to cash buyers.
Cash buyers, yeah.
Exactly. So that's one thing I did as well, and that did extremely good to funneling those people to to try discount homes to the website.
To the website, where they could fill out a form. Where they could say, yes, I want to lend money.
Exactly. It all really works together.
That's amazing.
It's just a bunch of testing. But I really wanted to have you on the show because you're a cool dude. You're a cool dude. I appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing your story from how you started to how it's going now, and then also telling us a little bit about the app too.
Of course. Thank you so much. It's been amazing to see your growth. I'm inspired. Because see, look, it started out for me trying to buy rental properties, and I've got 9. I sold 1, and then I stopped buying for like 3 years because I made this app for myself. Turns out other people wanted to use it too. Luckily, I was very lucky that grew quickly. And so I focused all my energy on that. And now I haven't been paying attention to my rental proproperties that I've had for 5 years now. And then I look back, I'm like, whoa, like almost $1 million in equity there, plus $150,000 in income, and that's like netting me $60,000, $70,000 a year. And I haven't paid attention to them. It's like, I'd like about 4 or 5 times that,
like you should have bought more, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I wish I would have more because But it's not too late, right? It's never too late. Nope. Now that I realize that, I'm like re-motivated to go find some more.
That's what's up. You
and hearing your story exactly as well.
You sound
right?
Because
you have 60.
60. Yeah. 60, man. Is amazing. Because that it comes in spurts of what you can handle. Like, you know, I feel like getting to 10, I was like, yo, when I get to 10, it's gonna be so good. And then I got to 20, I was like, yo, great. I could not get past 30 for months. I don't know what it was. I think it was a mental thing.
Okay.
I think it was a mental, how much I could deal with, how much stress I could handle, how much I could manage, you know, that kind of thing. But it was probably 6 months I was stuck, maybe 7 or 8 months I was stuck at 30. I could not, like I got in a rut or get down, I'd sell something, you know, and, but from 30 to 50, like 2 months.
Wow.
you know, and so that goes into like the people that we're hanging around. And that's another reason why I want people to come to the office. Like, cause what you have, I can't get that over the phone.
Right.
Like, but us sitting chest to chest, you know, looking each other in the eye, you're gonna give me something today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're giving me something right now. And so I want that. And so the interview was cool, but this is dope. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming up from Texas.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Heck yeah, man. Hey, look, remember, you guys don't need all three, time, money, and knowledge. You just need 2 to do you.